Hi, everybody. It's Craig and Arun back with your Week 5 NFL picks for Sunday's action. And this is a good group of games here. October 5th is the games we're going to be looking at for this Sunday. Don't forget, if you haven't done so, make sure you check out our promo code to get 10% off. We change it each week. So this week's promo code is OCTWINS10. That's all one word, as it is at the bottom of the screen. Make sure you put that in and get in on our week pass. It's just $99 per capper. So if you put that in, it's just $89 for each of us. So for $180, you get all of our plays. IC usually has 5 to 7 plays. I have usually 6 to 9. So make sure you check out all of those and you'll get all the plays for this week. Of course, we cover all the games. We don't tell you which ones we like the best, how to rate them, how to bet them, etc. So make sure you get in on that. Also, if you're new, try us out. Free $60. DocSports.com ICCT. As it is the screen here, type that in on URL. You'll get a free $60 to test us out for absolutely zero. You can get $30 top play for each of us for the football weekend. Okay, I see. Let's kick us off. We're in London, Tottenham, right? Or something like that. Stadium here in London. Tottenham.
Yep.
Minnesota versus Cleveland. Cleveland's a home team, even though obviously they're both away here. Minnesota's second straight week across the pond after losing to Pittsburgh last week in Ireland. Minnesota's a favorite again, minus 3.5, total 36.5. What do you like here?
Well, you have the Browns. First of all, these two teams haven't met since 2021, which is interesting. Minnesota lost 21-24 against Pittsburgh. In a game I felt like they really should have won. They did beat Cincinnati. They were off of a big win. They had a massive letdown. It's a team that didn't look good against Atlanta at all, losing 6-22. Of course, the Falcons then turned around and laid an egg against the Panthers, and then my Falcons bounced back at home against Washington. So Minnesota sits here at 2-2, and Cleveland at 1-3. Cleveland lost the Lions 10-34, and of course, shockingly beat Green Bay sort of prior to that. But they haven't played all that bad this year. And you got to give Cleveland a lot of credit here. Flacco last game went 16-34, 184 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And then for the Vikings, of course, you had Wentz, who went 30 for 46. He actually played pretty well, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And I thought it was pretty impressive how he played. And, it was a game that the Steelers really had to win. It's one of those things that I like to look at to see how competitive the other team was, like how desperate the other team was, right? And, the Steelers were coming off that win against New England. They, of course, beat Minnesota. They're sitting at 3-1. So as it relates to this game, this total is at, 36.5, which is just stunning. But then again, so is the public. The public is on the under 2. I don't like this game very much at all. But I will tell you this. I think that at the end of the day, who is the team that is far more desperate here? I do like Minnesota off of a loss. I think Minnesota with Wentz has a lot more potential, if you will, than Cleveland. And as far as their skill set players, that game against Green Bay, I think, is an outlier. At the end of the day, if you take away the Green Bay game, and Cincinnati doesn't count. Cincinnati's not very good, in my opinion. No offense, Craig. This team lost by 24 to Detroit. It's a team that lost by 24 to Baltimore, and Baltimore's looked shaky lately too. And then this is the same Minnesota team that beat Cincinnati 48-10. And don't forget, in that game against Cincinnati, it was Wentz who quarterbacked for 14 for 20 for 173 yards. So, he actually played pretty well that game. And I think Wentz has a lot of pressure, not a lot of pressure this time around versus the past, because he knows that McCarthy is the face of this team. And I think he feels that weight lifted off of his shoulder. He can just kind of go in and just kind of do his thing as a veteran here. And I want you to know something else too, Craig. Carson Wentz is 32 years old. Can you believe that? He's 32 years old. He's been in the league a long time. He doesn't have that much pressure. And if you take a look at Minnesota's 2 losses, one was against Atlanta with a young quarterback, and the other one was against the Steelers. Not bad, right? So I'm going to go with Minnesota minus the points here. I think people are a little too high on Cleveland. I'm going to take Minnesota on the hook here, minus the 3.5. All right, Craig, what we see here is Houston versus Baltimore. Houston coming in as a 9.5-point dog against the disappointing Ravens. Ravens are 1-3 to start the year, same record as Houston. Of course, the Ravens have lost back-to-back games coming in. Who do you like, Craig?
Crazy. I mean, they once beat Cleveland, the others beat Tennessee. So it's very they lost to all the good teams that they've played. And you've got a banged-up Ravens unit. I know they're desperate, but Lamar, questionable. The whole defense seems like everybody went out last game, and they were embarrassed last game, to be very honest. They've played a gauntlet of a schedule the Ravens have. But I just think it's way too many points. I mean, They're at home. I'll give them that. But this is a Houston team that's just as desperate. I mean, Houston, everybody thought would win this division. Now they're 1-3 with, like I said, the only win against Tennessee. I think Houston comes up and ready for this game. I think this screams it's going to be won in the last couple possessions, a field goal or touchdown game. Hey, we're getting 9.5 points, people. That's plenty to cover here. Give me Houston. I don't know what's wrong with Baltimore other than a little injuries last game, but after that, you really can't give them excuses after that. I mean, the opening game, they gave that one away. You kind of say Detroit, they kind of gave some of the possessions away in that one. I don't think that gets fixed this week, especially against with a banged up team. Give me Houston here with the big number in this one. Next game we're looking at is the Dolphins and the Panthers, and two teams that are 1-3 coming in. Back-to-back games, we have 1-3 teams here. The Dolphins did look good on Monday Night Football, but it's a short week against a Panthers team that did not look good on the road at New England last week. What do you like here, IC?
Well, Miami won 42-21 back in 2023. Look, it's a clash of styles, obviously. One has an explosive offense, theoretically, with Miami's coach. But while Carolina, kind of leans on grit and defense a little bit. So it's two different types of it's two different types of teams here. Keep in mind, there's something else to your career. Let me check something real fast. I believe this game is. It's in Bank of America. For some reason, I thought it might be also in London too for a second. Okay, so you have Miami here coming in here facing the Jets, beating them 27-21. I guess that was an impressive win, but not really. I mean, when you have a quarterback that only threw for 50 yards. I mean, at one point, you had Justin Fields throwing for 25 yards before the half. You're not facing a very competitive quarterback at all. And they ended up winning that game 27-21. I saw a funny report that Coach Glenn was so upset after that game he could be heard from several rooms over, but all that yelling is not going to matter. But I will tell you this, that you have a Miami team that has now covered back-to-back games against Buffalo and against the Jets. Carolina, even though they look bad against New England, I don't really fault them for that game because New England was coming off of a loss against Pittsburgh, so they were upset. I actually thought Carolina played really well against Atlanta. I thought they played well against Arizona, and I don't fault them for the loss against the Jaguars. The Jaguars are a better team than what most people give them credit for. And of course, Robert Saleh thinks that, Coach Cohen over there is stealing signs, but that's a different story. That was a funny article. But, what I like here is, Carolina did not have a good game, right? Last time around, Bryce Young only threw for 121 yards when they beat the Falcons. So now he comes into this game after having faced New England, and it was a game where he went 18 for 30, 150 yards, 1 touchdown, and no interceptions. But I like Carolina here. I just don't trust Miami coming off of a win. I like Carolina, the fact that they played pretty competitive against Arizona and Atlanta, and I like them coming off a blowout loss to the Patriots, 13-42. So I'm going to back the Panthers here -1.
Hi, everybody. Don't forget about that free $60 for new customers. Yes, you can get our absolute top plays for free if you're new. All you got to do is type into your URL docsports.com/ICCT as you see it on the screen. You'll get a free $60 to try us out. You can use it on anything on the website, including our top plays for the weekend. Good luck.
All right, Craig. Dallas coming in as a 2.5-point chalk. Yes, the Dallas Cowboys are actually favored over a team. -2.5 over the Jets on a total of 46.5. The Jets, of course, are winless, including most recently on Monday Night Football. Dallas, of course, has had one of the most interesting seasons. They're certainly entertaining, that's for sure. They tied against the Packers, lost against the Bears, beat the Giants in a thriller, and nearly beat the Eagles. So they're sitting with a unique 1-2-1 record. And I'm sure if there's a way for them to get a 1-2-1-1, I'm sure they'll figure out a way to do that too. Who do you like, Craig, here? Dallas -2.5, or the Jets finally pick up a shocking win at home?
I mean, it's hard to back a team with as many penalties and just bonehead plays that the Jets had on Monday Night Football. This hasn't just been a one game, really. The only game I thought they actually played well was the week before in Tampa, where they were up, miraculous, but they blocked that kick and ran it back and were up late and then still lost to Tampa Bay. But I don't know. Like, Justin Fields does not look confident to throw the ball. And last time I checked, you have to throw the ball to win in the NFL, in today's NFL. It is a problem. I will say this. Dallas is terrible on defense. I mean, they gave up 40. The only reason they obviously tied was because the offense was on fire. But If I had to lean to the side, I would take Dallas minus the points. But I just think this is a huge letdown spot for Dallas after getting up the Micah Parsons on Sunday Night Football. And now you face a Jets team that's looked terrible, lost to Miami. It's a huge letdown spot. But I think you take the total here. The Jets offense has to open it up early. You can't wait till you're down double digits to open it up because Dallas will score. We saw that last week. They can score. Their defense is terrible. I think this is an over game. I know a lot of people are going to be on the over because Dallas scored 40 last week for a reason. Dallas defense is bad. The Jets defense isn't so much better. I mean, the Dolphins could have scored more if they really wanted to. So I think the Dolphins game showed you that this Jets defense is shaky. We know that Dallas defense is shaky. Take the over 46.5 in Dallas and Jets. If I had to take a side, gun to the head, I would take Dallas. All right, next game. Giants, Neighbors out for the year with an ACL injury. Giants did win with Dart, under center for his first start as a rookie. I can't believe this. The Saints are favored by 1 point. I mean, this is the 0-4 Saints, 1-3 against the spread, and they're favored by 1. Total 41. What do you like here?
Well, I mean, it's wild, right? Maybe they actually think New Orleans is finally going to win a game, and maybe think Malik Neighbors' injury is quite devastating here for the Giants. I will tell you this: Scadaboo has probably been the biggest shock for me, one of the biggest shocks of the year. He's been phenomenal, and of course, as we know, if you're a white running back who's starting in the league, you're probably pretty good. So, I mean, I don't want anyone coming at me, but I'm just telling you, people underestimated Scadaboo back in college, and now he's doing exceptionally well here. He rushed for 79 yards, Craig, last game against the Chargers, which that Chargers defense is a good team. And he also rushed for about 60 yards the week before against the Cowboys, too. This is a team that beat the Chargers, that was competitive against the Chiefs. They believe in Dart. I think Russell came in for one pass for 8 yards, but they believe in Dart. It's a team that honestly should have beaten the Cowboys, too. Really, this team should be 2-2. New Orleans comes in having, lost to Buffalo, but they did cover that game. And of course, they got blown out by Seattle, San Francisco, and Arizona. And New Orleans, of course, has lost, not 8 in a row dating back last year. My 8-unit future is on the Saints under 4.5 wins, which is looking great. Look, I'm not messing with the line here. I will tell you that I like the under. I don't trust the Giants' offense here. I think if the Saints were to do well indirectly, they have to play phenomenal defense. Okay, I don't think it's going to be through offense. Rattler, I think, threw for 120 yards against Buffalo, and Rattler also threw for about 218. That's probably his max against Seattle. This Giants defense is actually not that bad. They held the Chargers to 18, which is pretty good. And they held the Chiefs to 22, which is really good too. I like the under in this game, and I think that's the only way that this game is going to be competitive for the Saints. And I think the Giants will have a bit of a letdown here after that big win. So I'm going to take the under 41. All right, Craig, Vegas here as a 7-point dog against Indianapolis. Indianapolis, of course, comes off their first loss of the year at the hands of the Rams, but they were playing really well going into that game. They had beaten Miami, Denver, and Tennessee. Vegas, of course, lost to the Bears in a thriller by 1 point as a minus 1.5 point favorite. They've now lost 3 in a row here. They're sitting at 1-3. Who do you like, Craig?
Imagine the Colts were tied late, actually took the lead, and the touchdown was called back with a penalty. Imagine if the Colts won this game, or even imagine if the Raiders, they got the field goal blocked at the end. So it's like, what would the lines be here? Because perception is sometimes reality for bettors. 2-2 Raiders, what would that line? Would it be minus 6.5? If the Colts win, would it be minus 7.5 off the key numbers? So I think, you end up, you settle on the 7 here. I think that's fair to take Vegas here. I really do. I think this Raiders team is a little better than what people give them credit for. I was actually on them or on the Bears last week, so I kind of got a little break, even though, even though we expect all 50-plus yarders to go in nowadays because they just do it at a ridiculous rate. Like, it happens that they don't go in or they get blocked at the end of the game. I kind of thought the Raiders were like, okay, we're good here. They didn't try to push the ball down the field enough to get in a little better range. I just think this is a big regression for the Colts because that was a pretty disappointing loss. They probably should have won that game, and they would be 4-0. Everybody be patting them on the back. I mean, they killed the Dolphins. We know what the Dolphins were early in the year. They beat Denver. That was a really good win. Then, they beat up on Tennessee, which we know they're not very good, especially after watching them last week. The Raiders are a better team than their records suggest. I mean, I really feel like they were in that game a little more with the Chargers than what that line suggests. They had a chance to get it within a touchdown late. I think you fade the Colts here. I do think they win, but I do think it's a Raiders cover here. And Pete Carroll, I mean, we know what he can do. He gets the most out of his talent, especially early in his tenure at a new place. And I think that pays off this week. Let's take the Raiders plus the points.
The best product we probably have is YouTube Premium. So YouTube Premium, you get Lenny for $4.99. You get all of Lenny's videos, and you get the videos first before anybody else gets the videos, which is awesome. Okay. And then for $19.99 is level 2, where you get me. You get my 4 selections. It's an extra video every single day. So you get 4 extra selections every single day. Plus, you get the live shows as well, which is about twice a week. I'll try to do a live show. So you're getting over 150 selections, all for $20 a month. And you get a written summary of every video sent as a message. I mean, it's probably the best deal out there. So, and finally, and you get Lenny for free if you get level 2. And of course, the best package, get level 3. You get Craig and all of his premium predictions. So you get his premium prediction plus 2 other Doc Sports handicappers, which are each worth $30. So you're getting $90 worth of value, all for just, you're getting about $2,700 worth of monthly value, $90 daily value, all for $50 a month. And you get level 2, mine, for free. And you get Lenny for free, all if you get the level 3.
Next game we're looking at Denver at the Eagles. Very good matchup. We've got Denver coming off they just killed my Bengals. That was more about how bad the Bengals are. They're 2-2 on the year. Facing an Eagles team that's 4-0. Another nice win last week on the road, avenging that loss that they had last year against Tampa Bay. Philly -4, total 43.5. Is this a little disrespect to Philly here?
No, I don't think so. I mean, first of all, I want to say something about Philly here. Philly's good. Okay. We thought about how the fact that Philly could be getting lucky. We see that sometimes and with teams, but I mean, you have to just respect this team. At the end of the day, they've covered, 8 of 10 coming in. They've won over 10 games in a row coming in, and they've beaten some really good teams. I mean, dating back to last year, they beat Dallas, Giants, Green Bay, LA, Washington, Kansas City, of course, in the Super Bowl. And then, you open back up with Dallas, Kansas City again, beating them on a revenge game. I mean, Kansas City destroyed the Ravens, of course, beating LA, who's a good team. Of course, they got a bit lucky there, but they still won. And then beating Tampa Bay. You got to give them a lot of credit. Denver, of course, coming off the nice win against Cincinnati, 28-3. I don't trust this offense at all going into Philadelphia. I think Philly is going to be ready for this game. You keep in mind these two teams haven't met in 2021. I like both these defenses a lot, man. I mean, you have a Denver Broncos team, whose defensive coordinator is Vance Joseph, who used to be the coach of the Dolphins. He's an excellent defensive coordinator. You combine that with Philadelphia here, who comes off a big win against Tampa Bay. But when they face Kansas City, they put up 20 points, right? And when they face Dallas, they put up 24 points. I think they're going to face a really elite defense here. I think this is going to be such smash mouth football. I don't think this is a disrespect at all for Denver. Denver really needs to win this game. They are 2-2. They need to see how they stack up against an elite team like the Eagles. And the Eagles have a tendency to be questionable against really good teams. And, look, I understand they got up to face Tampa Bay. They always seem to do that. But against the Rams and Kansas City, they could have easily lost those games, and the Cowboys. So I'm going to take the under, Craig, 43.5. I got this game around 40. So I like the under between the Eagles and Denver. All right, Craig, Tampa Bay comes off of a disappointing loss, of course, at the hands of these very Eagles. They are a 3.5-point dog heading into Seattle. But good news for Tampa Bay is they are 3-1, which is good. And Seattle surprisingly 3-1 after beating Pittsburgh, New Orleans, and Arizona. Tampa Bay, of course, coming off their first loss of the year after beating Atlanta, Houston, and the Jets. But bear in mind, all those teams are under 500 or at 500. What do you think here between these two teams?
I was surprised, to be honest. I thought this line, at worst, should be -2.5 Seattle. And I think we would have probably maybe even got less if Tampa Bay would have completed the comeback and beat Philly last week, and they'd be undefeated on the year. Seattle won. They did what they had to do to win on Thursday Night Football last week. But remember, they gave up a big lead. And kind of where's the benefit that this new stupid rule on the kickoff, if it lands before the 20, if it lands between the 20s, so it landed 1 yard short, they got a great field position, one pass, and they were in field goal range, and they kicked it, and they won. So you have to just give them credit. But it's kind of a little fluky rule that they did that. I don't know how good Arizona is, to be honest. So they really were kind of lucky to win in regulation. I think this is a very good Tampa Bay team, like very, very, very good. And we saw that last week. Even when they get down there, I mean, Baker Mayfield's just a dog. This is the guy. Anytime he's an underdog, he feels like he's an underdog in every game, even when he's favored. So when he's actually the underdog, I'm always on them. I'm going to take Tampa Bay here. I think they win outright. I'm still questioning this Seattle team. Like people give them a lot of like, oh, well, they played, San Francisco to a close game. I don't know how good San Francisco is. I think the teams in the West, I thought were all going to be good. I think the Rams are the best team, and they haven't played them yet. So I don't know how good they are. I'm taking Tampa Bay here. I think they win outright, but I'll take the gift of the 3.5 points with Baker and company. Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on all the great content we have here at Doc Sports. Next game, the worst team in the league I thought was going to be the Saints. I don't think that's the truth. I think the Titans are the worst team. We saw it last week. They were one of my plays, and it was never close. I mean, it was 6-0.5 or 3-0.5, whatever it was. I was like, oh, right, we're in this game. All I got to do is because they couldn't get across midfield. The Titans are a big underdog here. Arizona with extra time to prepare. They're a 9.5-point underdog or 9.5-point favorite. Total 41.5. What do you like here?
I think things are going to get from bad to worse. This is a tough league, man. It's a tough league, and we live in a competitive world. And what you see is a Tennessee team that didn't put up any points, 0 points against Houston. I do give them credit for a decent effort against Indianapolis, losing 20-41. They didn't play that bad against the funny thing is, seeing the line now for the Titans-Rams games makes you laugh because that line was like a 5.5-point dog, remember? They were a 5.5-point home dog to the Rams, and of course they lost 19-33. They played pretty well against Denver, losing 12-20. It looked like a team that was okay. They weren't going to be that bad. And then the wheels fell off back-to-back weeks, and now the line sits at 9.5. Here's the thing. Arizona lost to Seattle by 3. It's a divisional game. They lost to San Francisco by 1, divisional game. The only two teams they beat so far are both from the NFC South. They beat Carolina and New Orleans. This is a huge line. But I will tell you this. Arizona coming off back-to-back losses, right? You have to go back a long way for Arizona to have lost back-to-back games, even dating back to last year, okay? So you have to go back quite a way. So this team is going to be pissed. They've lost the last 2 games by a combined total of 4 points and divisional games at that. This is the same team that thumped San Francisco to close out last year 47-24. And I could see the 9.5 here. So if you had to tell me who's going to bounce back, Arizona with a good coach and a team with pretty good skill set players looking to avoid going 2-3 on the year. And this is an Arizona team that was 8-9 last year, so it wasn't like they were bad. I'm not saying Tennessee will have a bad effort. I think Tennessee will score some points here, but I think it'll be similar to the Colts game, something like 21-31 or something. But I can see Arizona covering this game, so I'm going to back Arizona on the bounce back. All right, Craig. Washington comes in as a +3 dog against the Chargers. This is the biggest public play on the board with 81% of the public riding the Chargers here. Obviously not a lot of people having faith, in Mariota, it seems. We can check quickly, is Marcus Mariota playing this week? But I believe he is. I don't think Jaden Daniels is going to be out. He's obviously, he's expected to start, so he's out for some time. You have a Washington team that actually played pretty well against my Falcons. I thought Mariota, as he faced his former team, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. The only problem is Atlanta was coming off of a loss, and they were pissed, as they were scoreless against those Panthers. But Washington comes in losing to the Falcons. They haven't lost back-to-back games yet this year. They are 2-2. The Chargers, of course, coming off their first loss of the year against the Giants, a 6-point favorite. Not a lot of faith here on the Chargers, Craig, on a +3. Is Washington really that dynamic on the bounce back, even with Mariota, +3 here on a total of 48?
It's too big of a public to think that this is just going to be easy money. Like when there's the public's the number one play on the board and it's 3, the line's not moving. You got to know there's some really sharp money on the other side to keep to balance this out. I think you got to play a total here. You got to stay away from the side. The Chargers are the better team, especially health wise. Mariota, and don't forget McLaren is out, as was out last week as well. Questionable this week. I'm guessing they might not go again this week. It has to come. Dan Quinn's defense has to step up here. If they're going to win this game, it's about defense. What do the Chargers want to do? They want to run the ball, to be honest, and play hardball style football like he did at Michigan. I think he would be very happy to have a low 20s game, in the 20s and just win it at the end. They've got Dicker, a great kicker. So it's like he's always I hate to say this, but he settles for field goals a lot. And you have a good defense that works in the NFL, I guess. You got to take the under here. I just think this is a huge spot for both these teams. I mean, the Chargers, they lost to the Giants. The Giants with a rookie quarterback, I was shocked, won that game. I think this is a game where they bounce back. I think the defense wakes up.
How bad does this look for the Chargers? The Chargers lose to the Giants as a 6-point favorite on the road to a rookie quarterback. And then those same Giants come in as a dog to the Saints, the worst team in the league, possibly the worst team in the league. I mean, the odds makers really have no respect at all for the Chargers. So they must be seeing something there that just says we don't think this team is very good, and we think people are going to start figuring them out.
I think a lot of people think Jalen Daniels is going to end up playing this game and McLaren. So there's even though I think it ended up being Mariota, so I think that's why this line is maybe still, as we're filming this midday Tuesday. I do think if Daniels plays, this will line up.
All the commanders, staff, family, brothers, sisters, mother-in-laws, all getting their money in on Washington before they announced that Jaden Daniels was playing. I mean, you don't think that stuff is happening?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we'll be happy to take the 3 points.
I think you stay away from the side, though. Take the total under 48. I think it's a pretty high total in what I think is two decent defenses in this matchup. Hi, everybody. Don't forget about that free $60 for new customers. Yes, you can get our absolute top plays for free if you're new. All you got to do is type into your URL, docsports.com/ICCT. As you see it on the screen, you'll get a free $60 to try us out. You can use it on anything on the website, including our top plays for the weekend. Good luck. My Bengals have been absolutely terrible. I can't believe this is a 425 game. I wish it was at one buried amongst a bunch of other games, so that way I don't have to watch it and it's ugly. They're a 10.5-point underdog at home. I don't know how you don't take it, though, because since the last two games have just been ugly since Burrow went down. Lions favored by 10.5, total 48.5. I think this line is actually going to go up. What do you think?
The line is going to go up, and I think the total is going to go up. Okay. There's not many games higher than 48.5 this week. This is actually, I think this was the second highest total on the board. Yes. Actually, no, it's tied for the first highest total on the board. So think about that. New England Buffalo is the highest. This is the second highest total on the board. And I think it's respect to the Bengals. I know that's odd to say that, but I think this is respect to the Bengals at home, right? The Bengals did put up 31 against the Jaguars. The Bengals have not played many home games this year. They played one, okay? The Bengals are still 2-2, Craig. They're still 2-2. We're talking like they're 0-4. They're still 2-2. They still beat Cleveland to open up. They still beat the Jaguars. Yeah, they were routed against Minnesota and Denver. Now they're back home. Okay. And you know how it is. Football is an organizational sport. There's a lot of people involved, and you got to produce. Okay. A lot of people are involved when it comes to a football team. This team scored 13 points in their last 2 weeks. But, Craig, they faced a Minnesota defense, right? Led by, they faced a Minnesota defense. He was a former coach, obviously, Brian Flores, right? Dolphins coach. They faced a Minnesota defense with Brian Flores. Then they faced a Broncos defense with Vance Joseph. That's two hard defenses, dude. Now you face a Detroit team. They gave up 10 points to the Browns. Okay? They gave up 21 to the Bears. And I cannot take Cincinnati here, but I do like them to bounce back on the offensive side. Browning just does always better at home anyway. And then you have a Detroit team that scored 34 and 38 points and 52 points in the last 3 games. And then now you see this total at 48.5. I would take this game at 50.5 to the over. Obviously I would lean on the Lions. It's just too much of a public favorite. It's the second biggest favorite on the board. But I do like the over here. I think the Bengals have more offense this week. I think they'll play better at home. I think the Lions just want to kill everybody. I think they can be an active dog. Give me the over. Craig, Sunday night, the Patriots hooking up against the Bills. The Patriots are 2-2. The Bills are 4-0. First crack here for the new coach and company here, Vrabel and company. The Patriots have actually beat this team 23-16 last year, believe it or not. And of course, they come off that rout against the Panthers, coming off their first loss coming off a loss at home to the Steelers. The funny thing is the Patriots wins this year. That was their first home win, by the way, 42-13. They had lost their previous home games against Vegas and Pittsburgh, so they decided to destroy Carolina. Now this team is sitting at 2-2, an 8-point dog. It might be a little surprise. Maybe people thought it could have been 9.5. I mean, you're going to put Arizona as a 9.5-point chalk against Tennessee. It's not impossible to think you wouldn't put Buffalo as a 9.5-point chalk against New England. Buffalo comes in beating New Orleans 31-19, didn't cover. Beating Miami 31-21, didn't cover. Who do you like, Craig?
These division games are much closer than people think always. It really is. So I think you have to lean towards getting points in division matchups. Like that's where you should start your handicapping thinking that, and then have to figure out the numbers, like, you know what I mean, to verify it, obviously, or maybe to switch your bet. But like, I always think division matchups, how could I take
like the Panthers, underdog? Falcons, right?
Yeah. Like, how can you take the underdog? We had that the other week. We liked the Panthers. They killed them. I just think games like like they just end up closer than what you think. Week 1, Bengals and the Browns. Everybody's like, no chance of the Browns. Browns should have won that game, to be very honest. I think this is like, hold your nose, be careful if you're Buffalo. I think this is a good New England offense. Now, the defense, I don't know yet. I just don't know because, that's the Raiders offense that's not super explosive. Beat them in week 1. But I think they're getting up for this game. This is like, I'm not saying they're Super Bowl because you are the Super Bowl Patriots as in our lifetime. Well, they're known as the Super Bowl Patriots now. But I think I'm going to take a total here. I'm taking the over 49.5. I know it's a little square play because Buffalo scored 31 or more, right? Or 30 or 31 in every game.
I don't think it's square play. I think it's a good play.
Like, I just think it's like, I don't know how they stop them. Buffalo is so they can run the ball. They can pass the ball. Like, they don't turn the ball over. I think they get 35 to 37 points. I do think New England will stay up with them. I think New England offense is going to be, when it's all said and done this year, they're going to be in the top 10 to 12 in that number. So I think they'll be able to get enough points. If I had to bet the side, I would take New England, but I'm staying with the total. We're going over in Sunday Night Football in a good division matchup. I think it's going to be a closer game than people think. So those are all your games for Sunday. Don't forget, if you want to get on our best plays, go over to DocSports.com/ICCT. That'll get you a free $60 if you're a new customer. If you're an existing customer, even better, use that promo code OCTWINS with an S 10 as it is here on the screen, and use that. And don't forget, if you want to get in on some bonus plays and get even more of our video content, make sure you check us out here with our YouTube. We have 3 different YouTube packages that you can subscribe anywhere from premium, anywhere from $4.99 up to $49.99. So that's per month. So for $50, you get like an extra couple $1,000s worth of picks from IC, myself, and Lenny. So make sure you get in. All right, guys, have a great day. We'll see you again. If you click this video right here, you'll get Monday Night Football and you'll get college football week 6. Good luck.